Chanhassen's 2023 home sales. What happened in Chanhassen in 2023? Was it catch a falling knife? Yeah, but most of all, it was still very, very good for many sellers and not horrible for some buyers. But we'll get to the what's going to happen here shortly. But for the most part, we need to look back into 2023. So let's take a look, shall we? So a couple of things. One, these statistics we're going to look at are only previously owned properties. They are not new construction. They're also going to be single family, townhouse, and condominium. It's important to average them all in so that we have a good context. If we look just at single family, and especially with the large amount of townhomes there are in Chanhassen, it really is detrimental. And I will say condo and townhome overlap in as far as we think we know what a condo is and we think we know what a townhome is, but sometimes there's actually townhomes that are condos. But regardless of that, I just wanted to point that out. We're also using a median price. If you look here on the right, median year to year, we're looking at some interesting stats here. We are looking at $405,000 as the median sales price. That means half of the homes in Chanhassen sold for over 405, half of them sold for below. Now, if you look at year over year, it's kind of depressing because right over here, it talks about negative 3.5%, which is only the number that correlates back to December of 2022. That's the only correlation. Okay, we can see that prices went down, then they went up, then they went up, capping out the median in May was $572,500, and then it went down. And of course, this is primarily due to interest rate spikes, and then it went down again. It dipped down, and then it popped back up again into the fall. Even though right around in this time frame was our highest interest rate environment of, let's say, 7.5, and then it went down again. And of course, that's primarily because it's winter and it's Minnesota. So let's take a look at months supply. How is the months supply doing? Well, when we look at the months supply, it basically says to us, well, in Chanhassen, there's 8/10 of a month available of homes, which means the buyer demand is currently strong enough and there's so few homes on the market that every home buyer would be satisfied in 8/10 of a month. So basically a little over 3 weeks is all it would take to sell every home in Chanhassen if every buyer who was looking found a house, which is very, very small right now in the Twin Cities. It's like 1.2. If we go back to December of 2022, we can see it was a month. So not a lot different statistically. What I think is really interesting is this next one. Shows to pending. Now, this is how many showings it took for a property to sell. Now, that would be sell in the context of sell as in not contingent. So it was either sold earlier, contingent with like an inspection, and then the inspection was released and then it went pending. So also with townhomes and condos, they have a contingency as well with an HOA contingency, but that's a different discussion. My point is that 10 showings is a very short period of time for a home to sell. If we look at back into the, a year ago, it was 9 showings to pending in Chanhassen, peaked out at 19 in January of 19. So right now where we're at right now, today is January 20th. And so we can kind of gauge that, but it's just plain old cold. And most people don't like to go look at homes and there's not as many homes on the market. So that's easy to see why it took longer for those to sell. So we can see it taper down, and we can also see it taper down in comparison to looking at the Twin Cities. So let's look at a couple of other things. Price per square foot median. And this is interesting. So now we're doing, again, all types of homes. And this is finished square feet, which is a cumulative value of finished square feet. So it's not just above ground, it's below ground, it's any ground, but it does have to be finished. So in December of 2022, it was $185. And then it bumped up and then it went up and it kind of peaked out at 210 there in June, kind of blurped down, went down, up and down. Okay. And then we end up being back at $185 a square foot. So that is pretty much a neutral. Now we could talk about what that means, but in the end, what it means is that homes were selling, but they weren't really going for the highest of prices. I did want to point this out because I think this is interesting. If we look at the 12-month average, we compare Chanhassen to the Twin Cities. Last month, it was 203,000 price per square foot, whereas let's see here, December of 2022, it was 203. So even if we look at that difference, it's pretty much the same. What I really think we need to make sure that we understand is that when we look at percentage of our original price. What is the median percentage of original price that people are getting in Chanhassen compared to the Twin Cities? If we go month to month, it's pretty darn close. It's 96%. It peaked out in Chanhassen in May of 2023. The median home got 103.3% of their list price. And then we can see that that varies wildly based on a number of things. But if we look at, the amount of what's really affecting, and this is where, sorry, I'm kind of starter stepping. I get really excited about these numbers just because it's just fascinating to me. And also, Chanhassen is an interesting community for a number of reasons. But let me get to it here. So, homes for sale, total homes for sale in the Twin Cities last month was 30. I can't quite read that. 3990, and in Chanhassen it was 24. Okay, so there was 24 homes of all kinds other than new construction in Chanhassen on the market. December of, or excuse me, December of 2023, because January we don't know the numbers until January is over. So December of 2022, there were 29 homes. Okay, homes for sale. So if you look at that, you can see how there is a lot more homes on the market, but the amount of homes is just really not that big. And the reason I mention this is so let's say that there's 25 to 55 or 60 homes in Chanhassen selling at any given month. Statistically, that's not a huge pool to say, oh, homes are going up or homes are going down. What that does tell us is that homes are still selling at a very rapid rate. When we look at shows to pending, it only takes, 8, 7, 8, 9, 10 days, or showings, excuse me, for a property to sell, which is very, very strong. And also, when it comes to the percentage of price, original list price, people are getting a pretty high percentage. It wasn't too long ago, like November, there was 100% of people getting their actual listing price at that time, which was amazing when you think about the fact that at that time, I believe it was the end of October into November, interest rates were at their highest ever at 7.5 and 7.75, or at least the highest for 25 or 30 years. So when we look into 2024, what do we see? Well, we see a marketplace that is going to be very similar to this because we just simply don't have a lot of homes for sale. When we look at the stats, 24 homes for sale in Chanhassen is not very many. And again, that's single family and condo and townhome. Even at their peak, we're looking at 40 or 50 homes. There's just not a lot of homes for sale. Now, if we go back in time a little bit, we can just have a little fun here. We go back for 10 years. And we can see that Chanhassen actually doesn't even register as easily. So we'll do a bar graph. Okay, so we're not going to get any any red, but Chanhassen is supposed to be red. But just to put it in perspective, the amount of homes for sale let's do. Yeah, I'm going to have to cut this down because you're babbling, Stieg, and we don't want you to babble. So anyway, bye-bye.